Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, on podcasts, and on talklawradio.com. Today, I'm interviewing people who are running to be mayor for the city of San Antonio. This is bona fide news with value designed to inform the public and not further any one candidate's campaign. Joining us today is Santos Alvarado. Before we talk about your background, let's begin with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help Santos Alvarado and me give good information to the listeners about the mayoral race. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. And today's legal issue blind spot is the race for mayor. I wanted the public, well, actually, it was one of my listeners, wanted to know who the candidates for mayor were. And so you answered the call. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Santos Alvarado. I was born in San Antonio at the Robert B. Green Hospital. I was raised in the West Side, and I attended the Edgewood Independent School District, 3 elementary schools, 2 junior highs, and 1 high school. At the age of 17, I decided to follow the footsteps of my family. I have a family of 12 brothers and sisters, 4 sisters and 7 brothers. All my brothers served in the military, Navy, Marines, and Army.
Thank you for your service.
And Air Force. And then 2 of my sisters served in the Air Force. My 2 other sisters, they were married to veterans. So we come from a military family, to include my father. My father was a World War II veteran. He was there for D-Day at Normandy Beach on the second wave. On his second day, he was captured as a POW. So he spent most of the time during the war as a POW. He came home after he was released, and then, that's the way it was. My father had a lot of pain, so he kept away from us and kept to himself. I joined the Army at 17. I left here as a soldier, and I returned as a combat veteran. I retired in 2011, and I stayed to live in Germany with my family over there. About 4 years ago, I decided it was time for me to come home. So I slowly progressed to come home. And when I came home, I got together with my high school friends and my new neighbors and people I talked to the street. And I looked in the streets and I saw these homeless people, and they told me what happened in San Antonio, that there was a lot of homeless people here in San Antonio, loose animals, crime, and affordable housing. And I thought about this, and then I asked my friends, so who's the leader of the town? And the mayor? And they told me there's no leadership here in City Hall. So that was my call. I guess the city needs a leader, because that's what I am. I spent 24 years in the Army. I mentored future soldiers. I worked for the Department of Defense. My bosses made me train new employees. Okay. At the same time, I was with the American Legion. I was a department commander for the American Legion for department in France, in Germany. So I got leadership skills. So mostly I can say just all my life, because I've been born a leader, because I come from a family of leaders.
What's your vision for San Antonio if elected?
My vision for San Antonio is I want to give the voters back the power, because when there's all these decisions are being made, okay, in City Hall without the voters being aware. They only know about it when it's election time. And as you can see in the November elections, there were all these propositions that were passed because everybody wanted to give themselves pay raises and do some other propositions, and they all passed. But according to Express News, a lot of voters didn't know about this because the word was not put out and everything was done behind closed doors.
Okay.
And this is what the problem is. It's been like this, I guess, since after Henry Cisneros, because Henry Cisneros was the mayor when I was stationed up at Fort Hood back in the 80s. So I guess everything happened after Henry Cisneros, that everybody just decided, we're going to do whatever we want to. All these district councils, they do whatever they want to. And with myself I want to get the whole city council and other districts together to work as a team, because there's no I in team. We have to work together to make this San Antonio great, a city again. and that's what I intend to do. I mean, we have the homeless. When I left here as a 17-year-old, there was only one homeless in the street, a relative of mine. Okay, but she was not really homeless. She was home at nighttime, but she was one of the streets. When I returned back, I had almost 3,900 homeless people in the streets. So I would walk downtown and I would see them. And I talked to one of the districts, one of the chief of staff, and they told me that that the homeless don't want to talk to them. And I told myself, well, if you guys go around work in a suit with a name tag and everything,
Mhm.
I won't talk to you neither.
Yeah.
So I told them I can go over there, but I can make them talk. And I went over there downtown one day and I just started talking to them. And they answered me. They told me they were homeless. Some of them were in foster homes. Once they turned 18, when the money stopped coming,
Mhm.
they go throw them in the streets.
So you weren't wearing the jacket
No,
then,
sir.
I guess.
No, sir. I went dressed
Plain
like
clothes.
plain clothes. And it actually, and I felt bad. Kind of felt not not bad, but sad because they're over there asking for money, asking for food. So I did what I do best. I went to McDonald's, bought me about 20 cheeseburgers, and I went around and gave them all a cheeseburger. And then they start talking to me because they know I'm that
Mhm.
friendly person. Because I'm a people person. I care about everybody.
How do you make decisions? What are some of your guiding principles?
My God, it's something that's just comes to me. When all this problems that the city has, right, with the homeless, with the animals, I have solutions already. Because when I read about it, I sleep on it, and
Mhm.
it just comes out. And then I'll contact my campaign team. We get together and we talk, and we come up with solutions. I mean, there's solutions for the homeless. I have a solution for the homeless. I have a solution for the loose animals because some of these ideas I'm bringing from overseas because there's no loose animals in Europe. You don't see no loose animals. The homeless, they're taken care of.
Okay.
They get medical care. They get a little bit of money, and they have somewhere to go at nighttime.
Mhm.
It's like here, but the homeless people, they tell me there's too many rules. But it's rules are rules. Everybody has to abide by rules.
Yeah.
So
What makes you different from the other candidates?
I'm not well. Okay, that's always comes to me. I'm not a politician. Okay, I'm not. I'm running as a nonpartisan. I don't belong to a party. Not that I don't nothing against them, but being in the military, you don't have time to be and belong to any party because no matter who's in office, he's still my commander in chief. So I have to follow the orders. So I'm running as a nonpartisan, and plus, like I said, I have leadership. I have training. I've had all this experience leading soldiers and getting them ready to go to combat and come back. I have one tour in Afghanistan. Okay, I was in the army during the Cold War. I was there when the wall came down. I've seen history, and this is what happened here in San Antonio. They, the history. There's no more history here.
So after you finish your term, if elected, what will your legacy have been for San Antonio?
Hopefully, to bring the city. It's not fun. I try not to laugh. Hopefully, to make the city back what it was again. I want people to come. I want people to come over here. I want them to go downtown and enjoy the city. I want tourists to come over here and say, San Antonio is great because when I walk downtown, they say that tourism here is great. But when I walk downtown, I don't see nobody, especially on the weekend. On the
Mhm.
weekend, when I was young, I used to go downtown. There were tourists everywhere. The Air Force, when they were during the weekend, they would go downtown, and they all would be downtown in blue uniforms. But you
Mhm.
don't see that no more. So what happened? They call this San Antonio the military city, but there's no military downtown. So I don't see them. And this is what makes the military city is you see the military downtown, walking around, shopping, having a great time. But you don't see that no more.
So you want to fix those problems and bring back some tourism.
Yes, sir.
What else?
I want to get the homeless off the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. They say they don't want to get off the streets. They're not trying very hard because according to the records when I read, a couple of years ago, they approved $3.8 million for the homeless. Where's the money at? Because they're still homeless in the streets.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, the crime, the same thing with the crime. They approved before that. They approved, I think, $1.6 million for 60 new police officers. Okay. And when I read about everything happening in the city, they all saying, I did this, I did this, I did this, but you didn't do it because it takes city council to approve it. So it's
Mhm.
we. And again, it's the word we. They don't believe in the word team. Everybody wants to do all the district want to do what they want to do. And it's not supposed to work that way. You're supposed to work together as a team. And this is how I see it. And hopefully, if I get elected, the first thing I'm going to do is the first 90, I'm not going to say the first 90 days. Every time I went to a new unit and I got to announce who's going to be working for me, I did my assessment. And the first thing I would do is I would do an assessment to see what really is wrong with the city. Where's the money? Where did it go to? I'm not going to say they're putting money in their pocket. I can't say that because I haven't seen the books yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just waiting so I can see the books. I just want to know I want to know what happened to San Antonio. And I want to give the city back to the voters because it's, it's their city. They need to get their power back. That's how I see it.
Well, our segment is ending, but I want to say thank you for joining me and good luck. And stay tuned for another segment about the mayor. But I'll give you one last word if you want to talk to the voters.
Yes, thank you very much. Real quick, if you don't vote or you never register to vote, please register to vote. Okay.
Before April 3rd.
Before April the 3rd, yes. And if you would decide you want to vote for me, I'm way in the bottom of the ballot. There's 27 names in the ballot, and I'm the last one. And I'm gonna try my best to give the city back to you because it belongs to you, not to City Hall.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on podcasts everywhere. And then you can go to talklawradio.com. I've been talking to a lot of the candidates running for mayor for the city of San Antonio. Just finished talking to Santos Alvarado, and I wanted to give you a heads up about some of the important dates when it comes to this mayoral race. You have to be registered to vote already if before April 3rd. The election voting day is May 3rd, and there's early voting April 22nd through the 29th. And this is one of our hidden legal issue blind spots. Voting. You have a right to vote in San Antonio, in the state of Texas, in the United States of America. We need to exercise our right to vote, because if we don't exercise our constitutional rights, we might lose them. So voting is very important to me, my family. It's very important to this radio show. It's one of the reasons why I like to talk to you about the law, is so that you know what your rights are, so you can exercise your rights. So that's the mayoral race. Do you think it's important to vote for the mayor? Do you think the mayor's position is important in city government? Let me know what you think. Post a comment on Facebook, post a comment on YouTube, or email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com. I wanted to talk about some other things that I learned in connection to city of San Antonio, in connection to the mayoral race. I learned that there's no early voting on April 21st because why? Well, you probably already know this. It's San Jacinto Day, April 21st, 1836. It's the celebration of the Battle of San Jacinto on April 21st, 1836. It was the final battle of the Texas Revolution. Did you know that? Well, see, I'm from New Mexico. I got here as quick as I could, and I've been here for 22 years, but I'm still learning the history of San Antonio and the state of Texas. So the San Jacinto Day commemorates the Battle of San Jacinto between the Texas Army and the Mexican forces. The battle was a turning point for Texas independence from Mexico. So there you go. That's why early voting starts on April 22nd and not April 21st. What are some of the values that you want your mayor to hold? What are some of the guiding principles you want the mayor to use when making decisions? What are the policies that you want the mayor to focus on? Are there things that the old mayor did that you don't like, that you want changed? Are there new things that you want the new mayor to focus on? This is just one of the issues today that I'm talking about, because I had one of the mayoral candidates on, Santos Alvarado, and I'm going to keep interviewing these candidates for mayor because I want you to know who's running. There's 27 candidates for mayor, and I've interviewed 5 of them already, 6 including Santos. So you might want to go to Facebook and watch the videos of our interviews with them, or you can go to YouTube, or you can go to talklawradio.com and search the archived videos. Some of the issues that not many of the candidates have talked about is whether the city should build a new stadium for the Spurs downtown. Well, I know that's an oversimplification of how the stadium would get built. There's developers, there's a team, there's other investors, I'm sure. But do you think it's a good idea for the city to be disrupted Uh, a lot of parts of the downtown are going to have to be demolished and rebuilt, and I'm sure that some people don't like that. Let me know what you think. Post a comment on the Facebook live feed or go to YouTube and post a comment there. By the way, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can get alerts to let you know when new episodes are being produced. All you have to do is go to YouTube and search, then type in Talk Law Radio and look for the Lady Justice and the red, white, and blue logo and hit subscribe. Thanks. Okay, well, I'm going to be talking about some other stuff, some other news that's been going on. But I want to remind you about the show. And if you're new to the show, I want to give you my mission and purpose for the show. So, number one, to go and tell and be a light for how one lawyer, this guy, lives his faith. Number two, inspire you to pursue your dreams and create a legally enforceable legacy that can be passed on as an inheritance to your loved ones. Number three, to protect you from hidden legal issue blind spots and help you see opportunities that the law provides you and your business. And I mentioned this just a minute ago, remind you of our constitutional rights to defend freedom and exercise liberty and strengthen the national economy, of which brings prosperity to us all. And finally, number five, to promote charity, which benefits mankind worldwide. You may have seen me on video or heard me on the radio talking about some charitable nonprofits, and that's why I do that. I want to bring them to the forefront of your mind to let you know what they're doing for the community, and maybe you can support them as well. What's interesting to you, though? I always talk about what's interesting to me, but I want to know what's interesting to you. So I'm asking you for feedback, please. So rank the following laws or legal focus areas according to your interest, from having 1 low interest and 10 having the highest interest. Business law, criminal penal law, disability law, elder law, estate law, immigration law, trust law, constitutional law, property law, tax law, or something else. Let me know your answer by posting your comment in the live feed or going to YouTube to comment there, or emailing me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST at talklawradio.com. I'm looking for issues that you're confused about or issues that you're concerned about that the public needs to know or are a concern. That's what I like to do here. Here's something that I learned about in the news just the other day. This was written in the San Antonio Express News about how the Texas Supreme Court accused a San Antonio area resident of unauthorized practice of law. Now, you probably guessed that me as an attorney, I don't want other people pretending to be lawyers in the community because that's my gig. That's my job. That's what I worked hard for. That's what I went to school for. That's why I stayed up late and woke up early and studied the books relentlessly. But there's more to it than that. You see, we learn a lot of stuff that you don't know is in the background of all the other laws. A lot of these things go hand in glove, even though you don't know it. They fit together and it builds on itself. And so that's why we had to study Old English law, because the Old English common law is where the United States got its first laws. And so we had to study that, and we had to study Supreme Court cases, and we had to study statutes. And I even studied comparative law. I went overseas to study international law at the University of Innsbruck for a summer. So that's why it's important that you ask legal questions to attorneys, because on the surface, you're just asking a simple question, right? I mean, that's what everybody, they call, they say, I just have a simple question. Well, it might take you 5 seconds to ask the question, but in order for me to give you a proper, thorough answer, it's going to take me at least half an hour, maybe an hour to answer your question, because I don't want you to assume things. And I don't want to assume facts and circumstances that you're unaware of. So attorneys always have to know all the facts and circumstances, and we have to qualify if this, maybe if that. I have a friend of the show, um, criminal defense firm that was on the show talking about Halloween and criminal law last October, I think. And he has this hat, and it says "depends." So it's funny to us lawyers, because any question you ask us, we can always answer with "it depends." Depends on the facts and circumstances and how the law applies. Well, I'm going to have to end this segment soon, but I want you to stay tuned. Come listen to all the commercials and then keep listening, because I'm going to tell you more about this San Antonio area resident that's in trouble for unauthorized practice of law. Stay with me. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, on podcasts everywhere. Share these episodes with your friends and family members so that they can get the same information you do. Okay, that was the Saints and Sinners song. This is our third segment, and I want to continue telling you about this alleged sinner. Before the break, I was telling you about the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court, accusing a San Antonio resident of the unauthorized practice of law. which is illegal. It's against the law. This was reported in the San Antonio Express News on March 24th. I guess his name is Dallas Wheelinga. He's accused of soliciting customers on social media and charging for services. You can't do that. Can't charge people for advice that's legal in nature if you're not a licensed attorney. So I had to go to a licensed law school. I had to take a licensing exam that was 2.5 days. I had to answer multiple choice questions. I also had to answer short answer questions. I also had to spend an entire day writing essays. So I'm on my soapbox because I worked hard and I spent a lot of money to St. Mary's University School of Law. And this guy is out there giving advice, what he says is advice. I don't know if it's even worth what he charged him about Child Protective Services case. And he goes on social media, TikTok and whatnot, and tries to tell people what to do if their kids are going to be taken away from them. If you ask me, that's a pretty serious matter that you would want to talk to a real lawyer about. But I'm biased because I'm the lawyer. So take whatever I'm saying here with a grain of salt. But a lot of other people agree. I mean, it is against the law already. So he posted on social media. I don't know if anybody turned him in or if this investigative reporter just found out about this. But here are some questions I have about this guy. If he's so interested in helping people with these CPS problems, why doesn't he just go work for a lawyer that helps people with their CPS problems? Then he could, do good by working for a lawyer the correct way. And if he wants to be a lawyer, he probably can. All he has to do is get his degree in college and then apply to and get accepted to law school, successfully complete the graduation requirements of law school, and then take the bar exam and pass that as well. Then he could be a lawyer. He can help these people with their problems. So another reason that this gets me on my soapbox is because in the field of elder law, we also have a problem with unauthorized practice of law. There's people out there charging families of nursing home residents, telling them that they can help get qualified for nursing home Medicaid. And they charge them tens of thousands of dollars to do this, but they're not licensed to practice law. And there's even a more specific statute in this area that I can point to that you can look up and see for yourself that it's illegal. Someone who helps you qualify for Medicaid commits a Class A misdemeanor if that person is not a licensed attorney. Texas Human Resource Code, Section 12.001. We need to get the district attorney out there to prosecute these hoodlums, these goons who are preying on nursing home residents, telling them that they can get qualified for nursing home Medicaid, but from the work of a non-lawyer. See, I was telling you before the break why it's so important to hire a lawyer to get legal advice. It's because everything that you have to do to get qualified for Medicaid has legal principles that are built on contract law, constitutional law, property law, administrative law, estate law. And so you need to know what you're doing because everything affects everything else. And so that's another problem that we have in this city with unauthorized practice of law. Maybe I'll send a message to this reporter and give him some hot tips, and he can do a whole expose on unauthorized practice of law. There's another area where you need to have a lawyer, or at least somebody who's certified, and that's if you need help with getting benefits through the Veterans Administration. VA benefits are, you probably heard from somebody in town, a family member or a friend, or even on the news, that qualifying for veterans benefits is sometimes a difficult task. And you can file your own application if you want to. You can go to the va.gov and you can find a form to fill out and you can submit it yourself. The problem is that the rules and regulations are very technical and complicated in nature, and if you make a mistake or if you leave something out, then your application might get denied. But the VA wants to help, and they're supposed to help. It says that in their regulations. So you can go to the VA offices if you want to and ask them to help you with your application. And you probably should do that. I've just heard from other people that, it takes a long time. They don't know where to go. They have to wait a long time. Whatever the reasons are, just know that you're allowed to do that, and that's a resource they're supposed to provide. If you don't like the VA office itself, you can go to veteran service organizations like the VFW. My brother loves that one because you can have your beer and you can fill out your VA application at the same time. A lot of the VFWs have places where you can get a drink. But also, you could go to like the Purple Heart, you could go to Bexar County Veterans Administration. The county has their own veterans office. There's lots of veteran service organizations. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. But if you search for a veteran service organization, you can find a whole list. And they claim to help you fill out your application for VA benefits as well. I talked to a guy one time who, I think he was, well, I won't even say. He was with one of these VSOs, Veteran Service Organization. And I said, "Are you allowed to tell somebody how to get qualified?" And he said, "No, the training that we have is how to fill out the form." And so filling out the form is just data. That doesn't tell you if you're going from a place of not quite meeting all of the eligibility requirements to meeting all of the eligibility requirements. If there's some things you need to do before you satisfy those requirements, this guy, at least from one VSO, said that he couldn't do that, and he wouldn't do that, but he could help you fill out the form. Well, here's the problem, that the VA says they don't want attorneys to be paid to help people with their application. Attorneys can be paid if you're denied benefits and they help you with an appeal. And so I met a lot of people who said, well, why do I want to go through an application I know that's going to be denied so that I can have the benefit of an attorney who knows what they're doing? I don't make the rules. I just follow them. That's what the VA rule is. And so that's a hidden legal issue blind spot that you need to know about. Now, there are unauthorized people who claim to have experience with VA applications and VA benefits that will tell you to do things to get qualified. Just know that it's not right, it's not legal, and you might be facing some denied applications if you choose one of those persons. And it just perpetuates their dishonesty and their unauthorized um, helping of you in this area of law. I don't want to spend all my time on this today, but that the sinners today are people who are practicing law without authorization. They are um, doing so against the law, and I've pointed that out to you for the Medicaid rule. Well, here's the federal law is 38 USC 5901-5902, also 5904, and 38 CFR section 14.629. I've got to take a break. When we come back, I'll be talking about legacy, be talking about the people that travel in this should have their affairs in order. Find out what this is in just 1 minute. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, and we were just talking about the Sinners and Saints segment. If you haven't heard that before, you need to listen to the show at different times or go to YouTube, because Mark will edit these videos in the shorter segments, and then you can watch them when it's convenient for you, like when you're walking the dog or doing the dishes or brushing your teeth. You can learn about the law, what your hidden legal issue blind spots are. But this is the fourth segment, and so we like to talk about legacy.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Before the break, I told you that people that travel in this should get their affairs in order. And what do you think this is? What's been happening in the news that causes you some concern? Well, for me, I was thinking of planes. And it seems like, and I don't know if the statistics back this up, that there's been more plane crashes. And I hate to talk about it because I fly a lot. And, you know, when I was a kid, I was really worried about it. Now I don't worry about it so much because I have my affairs in order, and I know my family will be taken care of. And I know that I'll be in heaven because the sacrifice that Jesus made, saving me my sins and allowing me to be right with God. But I still want to bring it to everyone's attention because tomorrow's promised to no one. And so today we need to do what we can to make sure our affairs in order, because it's the responsible thing to do. We have people who rely on us. We want them to remember us in a favorable light, at least. You don't want people thinking, why didn't he have a will? Or why didn't he have life insurance? Why didn't he get his affairs in order? This is a mess. It's frustrating. I'm upset. And now I'm grieving on all top of that. Another reason this came to mind is because of the plane crash with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper. I think it was about this time of year. Well, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the dates, but somebody posted something, said this is like an anniversary of their death. And so I thought of musicians traveling all the time. Musicians need to get their affairs in order, because even if you're in a bus, I mean, think of all the car accidents and the pileups around the big cities that you've heard of just this month. It's tragic, but I can't go without excuse me, without saying something, because I don't want you to say I knew Todd, but he never said, getting a will was important or getting a power of attorney was important. I want you to at least know that and say, Todd was really obnoxious about having my will. He just would never let up, because then it's on you. If you know that information, you need to get it done one way or another. But anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's been in the news. And I don't know if there's political reasons why there's plane crashes or not. That's not my gig. I'm just bringing you the hidden legal issue blind spot of, if you fly in a plane, if you drive in a car, you need to have the bare minimum: last will, living trust, power of attorney, medical power of attorney, directive to physicians. Make sure people know what type of medical care you would want or not want if you were in a coma or a vegetative state. I'm going to get off my soapbox now because I don't want to beat a dead horse. There's something else in the news that you may not know about, and that's in regards to filing beneficial owner information reports with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is a department of the Treasury. I talked a lot about this over the past 2 years because there was a new law and a new regulation that said if you have an LLC, limited partnership, or any type of entity that you've created by filing with the Secretary of State, you had to file this beneficial owner information report unless you met one of the exceptions. And a lot of the exceptions were big businesses that were publicly traded or were banks or investment firms or nonprofits. All these other firms, they had to file things with the federal government anyway. So what does that leave? Small businesses, people who have LLCs for their rental properties. And so I wanted people to know of this new requirement so that they didn't get fined or jailed for having failed to do it. Well, just recently, March 2nd, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN for short, announced that consistent with the Department of Treasury's March 2nd announcement, it is issuing an interim final rule that removes the requirement for U.S. companies and U.S. persons to report beneficial ownership information under the Corporate Transparency Act. So this is new. A lot of people were worried about this because putting their personal information, not just name, address, name of LLC, but also your social security number and your driver's license number and a digital image of your driver's license, had to go with this Department of the Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And of course, the government says everything's safe. We know better than that. Everything's not safe. I mean, some things are safe some of the time, hopefully. But anytime you put your information out there, you know that it could be hacked by some foreign government or by some hacker. I don't know what else to call them. And here's another thing. Why should we have to prove that we're law-abiding citizens? The Constitution says that the government has to have a reason to question us. They have to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause that we've done something wrong. And so I didn't like this regulation from the beginning because I have to sign up with the government and give them my information so that they can contact me if they think that I've done something wrong. No, if you think that I've done something wrong, you have to prove it. You have to get your subpoena, you have to get your warrant, and you have to prove to a judge that those things are needed. Not the other way around. I didn't want other laws to be built on this same precedent where law-abiding citizens and in other activities, we have to prove that we're not guilty before there's even a suspicion of it. So a lot of my clients are frustrated and disappointed. Well, this administration, this Treasury Department says we don't have to do it unless you're from a foreign country. Then you still have this requirement. But if you were a U.S. citizen when you created this entity, then you're good to go as far as this announcement goes. So I reserve the right to contact you again to let you know if the law changes again. There were lots of court cases. I talked about those. Whether this requirement was constitutional to begin with. And so you might remember me talking about the Corporate Transparency Act, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the Beneficial Owner Information Report. I spent a lot of time trying to understand all of this so that I could tell you about it. And now it's just like, never mind. Want to let more about the show because you might just be tuning in. You may have just gotten in the car, and there's one thing that I really like to do that I haven't gotten to do a lot of, and that's talk about the gospel. I like to bring a pastor or theologian on the show, and I like to talk about, divorce or child custody or immigration or criminal defense or estate planning, and then ask the pastor theologian, what does the Bible say about this? If you know somebody who would love to be on the radio, podcast, YouTube, and Facebook, and knows a lot about the gospel, ask them, hey, do you want to be on the radio with Todd Marquardt on Talk Law Radio? We can have a really interesting conversation about what the Bible says and what the state law or federal law says too. And you can even look these episodes up. I've talked about some topics before, like divorce. Is divorce okay? Is it not okay? I talked about end of life issues like directive to physician. Is it okay to refuse life support? Talked about abortion. If that's a hot button for you, maybe you want to go to talklawradio.com and search for those archived episodes. Well, I'm having to end this segment again, but I thank you for tuning in. Please go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way we can keep in touch. And you can always post a comment. I always want to know what you're thinking. Just don't be mean to me, okay? And let me know what you want me to talk about. So I'm going to be talking more to mayoral candidates, City of San Antonio, running for mayor. Tell them to join me on Talk Law Radio. I'll talk to you later.